I'm back to make a little Q&A that I've posted on my Instagram. You guys have left me your best questions for eyebrows, business, personal, fashion, whatever you guys feel like asking. So I'm gonna give you some answers right now. Okay, so let's start. What product have you find works best for aftercare? I use a barrier cream, so I just have the client wipe their brows with warm water 3 times a day, have them apply a gentle barrier cream on them in the morning only for the first 5-7 days, and it's been working amazingly for most of my clients. What product do you use for numbing? I use Zensa for the topical numbing, and then I use a numbing gel that has epinephrine in it for during the procedure. There's actually a lot of options. Everlasting has a really good one. It's all 5% lidocaine. Numb Quick, as long as they're 5% lidocaine and has epinephrine in it, you're gonna get an amazing result because it will stop the bleeding, take away the redness of the skin, and just make it more comfortable for your client and easier for you to work on the skin. Someone asked, what chair do you use for your clients? What do you wipe their brows with between passes so you can see what you're doing? How do you take those fleeky pictures of the brows? So first of all, for the chair, I just have aesthetic beds that I found on Amazon. I really love them because you can fully recline them flat as a bed. You can put them in a seated position. You have a lot of options, so if your clients have back problems or any of those issues, you can adapt. To wipe the brows, I use 4x4 gauze. It's just a lot softer than paper towel. It absorbs a lot better. For the pictures, I've always taken my pictures with my iPhone. I currently have the iPhone 10, which I love. I hate how small it is, but it does take amazing photos, and I think as long as you have a good phone and proper lighting, you can achieve fantastic photos. Amber asked, what were your thoughts on La Mer? I'm not too sure, honestly. It's been 2 weeks, I think. I don't look like a supermodel yet, so I'm kind of disappointed, but no, it's fine. I will definitely, I'm not sure if I'm gonna return it. I might just keep using it and see long-term wise how it works. I would say my forehead might be less oily than usual. Normally my bangs get kind of greasy throughout the day. I'm not wearing makeup today, so it's kind of shinier than usual. Let's reorganize this real quick. But it's all right. It's not doing any miracles for me so far, but it smells amazing. So I like that. And how can I tell if I'm a good candidate for microblading or shading? It really depends. If you have extremely oily skin, I would personally say that shading will definitely make you happier. The reason is if you have extremely oily skin, with microblading, the strokes are gonna heal a bit more blurry and softer. It would still look really good, but you will most likely need to touch up more often because of your natural oil. It's just gonna fade a lot quicker and always kind of have like a little fuzzy, blurry look to it. So I would say shading, just do, you know, not too dark so it doesn't look too bold. And then you can always play around with makeup and kind of draw strokes with an angled brush or just have fun with a brow mascara. I would say that would be your best option. If you have just regular like oily combination skin, then microblading is a great option. We just changed the Aftercare a tiny bit just to give you the best results. That's a really good question. What do you wish you knew about becoming a microblading artist that would have helped you grow your business and clientele? I'm not sure it would have to be with growing my business and clientele because I was lucky enough that when I started microblading, I already had a big following on Instagram, so I already had a lot of people seeing my work as soon as I started. However, I wish I had been a bit more patient and taken models for a good 2 months before starting, so I would have time to have them come back for their touch-up and assess where things went wrong. Personally, when I started doing microblading, I was very light-handed, so most of my clients started coming back with barely anything left. So little did I find out, my pressure was way too light, so I had to adapt that. And I used to do dry healing, and unfortunately, I think if you have tattoos, you're used to kind of go through that kind of aftercare. But for, you know, regular clients who have no experience with tattoos, it kind of, some people just took it way too literally to do dry healing, and everything just scabbed and basically flaked off, and it looked very patchy and just not really pretty. So I wish I would have known the right aftercare and just the right pressure before starting to take a whole lot of clients. I also wish I would have known how crazy the customer service is for this industry. You are dealing with mainly women and their face, and they wear a lot of makeup, they use a lot of skincare products. There's different lifestyle that just have to be somewhat changed during the aftercare, and that's challenging for a lot of people. So it comes with a lot of nervous and anxious clients that just don't know what to do, and it's very hard to explain someone to trust the process when they've never been through it. So that was very challenging. So I wish I had known before getting on board, so I would have been a bit more prepared, so I would have shed a tiny bit less tears. What's the number one reason your clients choose you or your studio? I would think that it's because our brows look very natural. We can do a manicure brow, we can do a very messy brow, but most of the time it's really hard to tell when you look at the photos where are the strokes and where are the real hairs, which I think sets us apart from a lot of other studios. How do you get the best ink retention? Pressure is everything. First of all, if you put too much pressure, everything is going to heal very ashy and you're going to have blown out lines. And if you don't have enough pressure, then you're just barely depositing any pigment in the skin, and honestly, your client is not going to come back with much pigment. Also, just proper aftercare, having them clean them with warm water and just making sure that they don't scab, and it's going to give you perfect brows. I think a while ago you started taking supplements for thicker hair. I did. I've actually tried a few. I tried the Whey, which I'm really awful when I start something. I'm the first person to just give up halfway through, so I cannot really tell you if it worked properly. I think I bought some for 90 days. I probably did 60 days and then stopped just because I traveled, left them at home, and I just forgot. I do take the Ollie vitamins, and I take one for the skin, and I take one that is just beauty overall. I believe it does help for nails and hair. It's really hard to tell if it works because I've always bleached my hair, and it's the first time that it's been over a year that I've just been dyeing my hair black, and I don't use a straightener anymore. I don't blow dry my hair, so I don't use any heat. So my hair has been healthier than ever, but that's mainly just because I changed my hair routine. How long between original appointment and touch-up appointment? We cannot do the touch-up before 6 weeks, and I try to keep it under 12 weeks, just because after 12 weeks, it's just gonna start fading more and more. The touch-up is just gonna be more work. So as a client, you will just get better result if we do the second session between 6 to 12 weeks, just to perfect the brows, give you bold, fresh, structured brow that are gonna heal pretty much as is. And normally we would do a yearly touch-up depending on your skin type, the color of your brows, anytime between 9 to 18 months. I'm interested in getting microblading, but I have pretty oily skin and use Retin-A for acne. How will it fade and how will it look in 5 years? How will it look in 5 years is actually a really good question because it has been around for about that time. You maintain your brows yearly. So after 5 years, if you did not maintain your brows, the pigment should be completely gone. But it also depends, because if the person that does your brows puts too much pressure and goes too deep, then you could always have kind of like a little shadow behind your hair that will not completely fade. It really depends. But most of the time, if you were to not touch them up and just let them be, they would eventually completely go away. How long, that really depends what kind of products that you're using on your skin type, and the color of the pigment that was used in the first place. As for Retin-A, Retin-A is kind of a hit or miss when it comes to microblading, or honestly any skin treatment. It is not recommended. It could change the color of the pigment. It could make it heal ashier, or the main problem is just that it's gonna make it fade a lot quicker than someone who doesn't use any Retin-A or retinol. How long did it take you to grow your business? Like I said earlier, I was very lucky that when I started doing microblading, I already had a big following, and I think I had a lot of people that just jumped on board really quickly. They use Instagram or Facebook, just always have beautiful photos, showcase your work the best that you can, make sure that everything is appealing, that everything is true to the work that you deliver, and your social media is your portfolio, and the stronger your portfolio is, the more you're gonna attract people. So be consistent. If you're not busy and you feel like you just don't have a lot of content to put out, the best way is just when you have clients coming in, take as many angles as possible, take some close-up photos. So even if you're to post pictures of the same client over and over, at least it gives a lot more angles of your work, and take photos, take videos, take boomerang, healed photos, freshly done. Just build up a whole lot of content and just make it pretty and appealing. That will pay off in the long run. A lot of you are asking suggestions of where to take beginners training. That's a really hard one. There are so many, it's kind of out of control. States per provinces in Canada, everywhere has beginners training. To be honest, I have students that have taken from, you know, super cheap online training to really expensive 10 days course in person, to some overly expensive 3-day course. I think what it comes to in the end, everyone has the same feedback. Whatever that it's a day or 10, once you walk out, you're on your own, and you kind of need to just figure it out. So all you need is to have the time and to find as many models as possible to practice. That is kind of the most important part. So honestly, if you could take a basic training somewhere and then have somewhere to do an apprenticeship alongside another artist, or just set up and, you know, do your entire family's brows and your entire friend circle, and be patient and wait for them to come back with healed brows to do their touch-up, and the practice is the most important part. Look at their work online. If you like the work that they do, then go for it, and then just be patient and just put the work in. Would you do another brow contest to win a session, please? It is impossible to book an appointment. I know it is crazy hard to get an appointment, and I'm gonna quickly explain the why. I'm at the point where most of my clients are coming back for their yearly appointments, which means that my entire month is pretty much yearly touch-ups. I do not take a lot of new clients anymore. I'm down to under 10 clients a month, which is really not a lot. The odds of you guys to get an appointment on booking day, it just lowers it, and I apologize, but that's out of my control, so I can give the great customer service that my client deserves. And yes, I will do more giveaways. I absolutely love giveaways. I'm just trying to I don't want to do too many because then it's not as fun and it's not as exciting. So I'm just gonna try to find some cool one to do. So let me know in the comments if you have any ideas of fun giveaways to do in the future. What kind of pigment do you use? Do you have a preference for organic or inorganic? I personally use the Lee pigment or LI. Not too sure how people say it. I say Lee because it's just easier. They are iron oxide based. They are not organic pigments. I personally do not recommend organic pigments because it tends to change to a very pinkish color when it heals. I've also seen people that it actually turns to a weird green when it heals. The scary part also with organic pigments is that you can develop an allergy at any moment. So you could have been getting your brows done every year, and then one day you will develop an allergy, and then things go south from there. I've been doing this, knock on wood, for 2.5 years, and I haven't had a single client having an allergic reaction to those pigments. So unless you are allergic to something that is listed in the ingredients, so if you're not sure, you're more than welcome to email the studio. We do have the list of ingredients of every single product that we use, so we'll be happy to send you the list to make sure that you're not allergic to any of those products. Some fashion questions, I like this. What's something that will always be in fashion no matter how much time passes? Black leather purses. Always, forever. I will never have too many black purse. Since when does a black bag go out of style? Never. It's the best. Just keep it simple. Don't buy something with too much hardware on it because you'll most likely get over it. Just keep it simple, not too many details on it, just a good structure that will be good forever. And I say leather because obviously it lasts longer. My wonderful vegan friends and followers, I'm obsessed with Matt and Nat, which is a company from Montreal, and they do vegan shoes and handbags, and it's an absolutely amazing company. So if you want a beautiful black bag but you do not support the leather industry, they're your best pick. They're absolutely amazing. Where do you get most of your decorations for home and studio? Surprisingly, we have a whole lot of things from IKEA, but we kind of try to pick the not so obvious IKEA stuff. So normally they have, you know, the new things that look a bit more high-end than IKEA. So we try normally to go to that, but we have a whole lot of things from CB2 and Crate & Barrel. I do get all of our fake plants from CB2 or Crate & Barrel. I cannot keep any plant alive. As much as I try, I just can't. So I came to peace with it, and I'm just buying all of the fake plants. I'm trying to find what looks the most natural. I've actually been buying also a lot of decorations from Target lately. They have amazing blankets and pillows and just tiny details for accents, there's shelvings for the apartment, and I love it. Crazy, but the couch and the chairs from the studio, which I absolutely love, and found one that is almost identical from West Elm, which was stupidly expensive. I found a couch on Amazon for a third of the price, and I absolutely love it. It's so comfortable. What made you finally decide to start your own studio? That's actually a good question. I had no intention to start my own studio. I was not mentally ready for that responsibility after having a handbag company for 4 years and completely burning myself out. I just never thought I would be a business owner ever again. Obviously, I'm a control freak and I just like things to be done my way and just to have control over everything, which obviously made more sense to just be on my own and make the decisions by myself. So I ended up branching out, and 6 months later I had a studio with other artists. Everything kind of just unrolled really quickly and very unexpected, but I guess it was meant to happen because everything just lined up perfectly and worked out perfectly, and here I am. When microblading, how do brow hairs not get cut? This is exactly why it is important to follow the direction of the hairs when you do microblading, is that if you follow a specific pattern that has nothing to do with the natural growth of the brow, you're gonna be chopping hairs left and right. If you follow the hairs, then you just kind of brush the hairs aside and just glide the tool between two hairs following the same direction, and ta-da! You have a perfect brow and you did not rip off any hairs or cut anything. Carlin is asking, what's your favorite thing to do outside of work? I am so boring. I'm normally on my couch with Chris and Palmer and watching Seinfeld, watching Friends, watching movies, ordering food, most likely drinking wine. That's literally what I do. I would say that my main hobby outside of the house is to go get dinner somewhere and then go to the movies. That's pretty much all I do on my spare time. I don't go out. I just hate anywhere crowded. I love Disneyland, but now that I live in LA, it's such a hassle to drive down there. Have you ever worked on a patient with trichotillomania? I don't know if I just said that right, but let's hope for the best. Does microblading prevent regrowth? I've had a lot of clients with trichotillomania. It actually works amazingly, and here's why. For people that don't know, it is when someone pull out their hairs. So some people put out the hairs on their head, eyebrow hair, eyelashes. It normally makes the skin really tough, and a lot of the time some hairs just stop growing. The good thing with doing this is that it is such a big deal that it normally forces the client to not pick at their brows for at least 2 weeks. And normally by the time the brows are healed, they pretty much healed themselves because they were forced to not pull their eyebrows, and then all of a sudden they don't feel the need to pull on their eyebrow hair anymore. Because a lot of the time after being pulled out of the skin so many times, you have dormant follicles, and by doing microblading, we wake up the follicles, so a lot of clients just get a whole lot of hair growth. And so you might be going from really bald, patchy eyebrows to not only they're going to be fuller with microblading, but you're going to have a lot more hair growing, and all of a sudden you're going to have magical fluffy brows. What's your best favorite handbag purchase, and what is your least favorite handbag purchase? I don't think I have a least favorite, I'm gonna be honest. I do love designer handbags, which obviously are not cheap. So I only spend the money on it if I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I definitely have bags that I don't use as often because obviously I wear all black every day and normally go for one of my black bags. I do have a gorgeous Givenchy that is like a dark beige. I absolutely love it. I just almost tend to forget about it because it's not black. I also have a gorgeous denim Chanel boy bag that I love. I don't use it often because, to be honest, I'm just so terrified to get it dirty because it's denim and not leather, and it's not easy to clean. So I kind of need to force myself to use it. My favorite one is by far my Gucci snake bag. I don't think I will ever get over it. It's been almost a year since I have it, and it's just the best. It's the best size. It has 2 compartments. It's black. I can switch the strap on it. It has an amazing, cool looking snake on it. That's just the best bag ever made, in my opinion. Technique in strokes and best practice for second pass. And if you smudge pigment, how do you stay on pattern with strokes? For the technique and best practices for second pass, my best advice is less is best. Do not do too many hair strokes, but make quality strokes, meaning that take your time and place them properly. So one good stroke placed in the perfect spot could replace 3 so-so strokes that will just not fill in a bald spot or a sparse spot, as well as one perfectly placed hair stroke. So be patient, move things around, kind of build a skeleton with your first pass, making strokes throughout the whole brow, and then your second pass just adds strokes in between the skeleton that you created in the first place. If you smudge pigment, honestly, don't be scared to wipe the pigment away. If you end up smudging and you're not too sure where you're at this point, just clean the brow and then go to where you were. And then once you're done with that, just resmear the pigment all over the brow just to let it soak in while you're working on the next brow. Will you ever do beginner's training? I will not. There is not much requirements to the microblading world in the US and in Canada, and I just personally don't think that anyone can learn how to tattoo someone's face in 3 to 10 days. I'm not comfortable putting my name on that and have someone that is not good at it working out there saying that they were trained by me, because then I'm gonna look like I poorly trained them, and I'm not okay with that. So no, I will never do a beginner's class, and that is why. However, that's why I'm doing an advanced master class. So if after your first class you do not feel comfortable, I am there to guide you, to show you my personal techniques, and to explain to you that what you're going through, it is normal, things are gonna change, how to change them, and just how to be better at your craft and feel more comfortable and just simplify the whole procedure. How many sessions do you typically need to really have it look as crisp as it looks right after you get it done? What is gonna give you the crisp look is your skin type and the aftercare. If you have oily skin or combination skin, you will most likely never have a perfectly crisp look of how it looks when it's freshly done. If you have extremely dry skin, chances are your brows are gonna heal exactly as they look like the day of. Trust the healing process, follow aftercare, keep it simple. Less is best. Just let your skin breathe. You have wounds on your forehead, keep that area clean. When I see someone's microblading go wrong, such as an infection, what could this be caused by? Not clean tools, sensitive skin? A bit of both. If these tools are not clean, huge red flag, run as fast as you can. Don't ask for your deposit back, just run and leave that in the past. A lot of the time, it's really just people have a hard time following aftercare, and they just don't wash their face or the brows, and I cannot stress that enough. You have open wounds on your forehead. Please clean the wounds. No one gets hurt, have an open wound, and just let it be for 2 weeks. Just poorly followed aftercare is what is going to give you an infection unless you went to some sketchy, dirty place. I know somebody that got their eyebrows microbladed by you when you worked in Langley. What is it like knowing your work is in 2 countries? Is this journey humbling? And did you know when you worked there that you would be where you're at today? I had no idea. The funny thing about, because I'm from Canada and I've lived here for nearly 6 years now, it's like I have 2 homes. So I weirdly I almost don't see Canada and the US as 2 different countries. It feels like it's just a further state or further province. But it is kind of crazy that now that I live here, I have clients that come down here from Canada to get their touch-up, which that is incredibly humbling that you're willing to get on a plane to come get your brows worked on. That's crazy. I love that. That's amazing. If that was always my plan, it was not. Everything happened really weirdly. When Chris and I moved to Vancouver, we were kind of on a 5-year plan. We actually did the whole immigration process for Chris for him to be a permanent resident in Canada. And then little did I know that if I was to stay in Canada for more than a year, I was losing my green card in the US. So we kind of had to come back to get that green card. And now I'm done with the green card and I'm actually an American citizen, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, it was not planned. We're supposed to go back to Canada and here we are. Came back to LA and made it our permanent home. Do you brow map, and how do you know your arch measurements are 100% accurate? I'm gonna be completely honest. I do not measure anything. I follow the very general guideline of the outside of your nose to the corner of your eye is where your brow needs to start. The arch is about, 3/4 of your eye, and then the tail is from the outside of your nose to the corner of your eye, so it ends up being there. The reason I don't use a ruler and do specific measurement is that, one, almost everyone's face is crooked, everyone's nose is crooked, everyone has a smaller eye. If you're taking measurements of a side that is smaller than the other one, then you're gonna have a smaller brow than the other one. That's just gonna make that whole side look even smaller. It makes no sense. It also, when you measure everything and it looks so crazy perfect, it is so obvious to me. I think coming from a makeup background, this makes sense to me, because when you do your makeup, you don't measure where you're doing your brows. You draw the brow, you take a step back, and you make sure that things are balanced. It looks beautiful and it just looks right. So honestly, trust yourself, use your best judgment. You just want the natural beauty of your client to be enhanced. You want them to be as even and balanced as possible, and you want the brow to give a lifting effect, and in the end, that's what you're looking for. And when you start measuring, I feel then you're kind of giving everyone the same brow, and that's not really personalized in my opinion. What is your best aftercare advice for oily skin types that choose to get microblading? Also, would you recommend to use oil blotting sheets? I do. I think that blotting paper, blotting paper will help greatly. I normally tell people to honestly have that with them, or if you're at work and you just have paper towel, just blot your T-zone, forehead, brow area like an insane person. You do not want any kind of oil building up in that area, so you just keep them clean with warm water 3 times a day and just blot away. You don't want oil. Would you ever worked on eyebrows that have been tattooed on before? I do not. And the reason why is that the results are such a huge gamble. I have no idea the pigment that was put in your skin prior to your appointment with me. I have no idea how deep that pigment is in your skin, and if there's a chemical reaction between that old pigment and the pigment that I'm putting in your skin, I have no control over that. I have clients that we've worked on top of really dark tattooed eyebrows, which was there's no way it would look good, and somehow it healed perfectly. Where I have clients that the old tattoo was almost fully faded and we had such high hopes, and then we did the microblading and it really healed poorly. And the reason why is that the skin was so damaged from the prior eyebrow tattoos that the client just had a whole lot of scar tissue, and the skin texture was just damaged, and that just didn't work well. So my best advice is just give your skin a break. Stop trying to have them fixed over and over again. It just makes things worse. So exfoliate your brows a few times a week and apply a glycolic acid serum on them. It will make them fade really quickly, and be patient. Do that until they're almost fully faded, and then you need to give your skin a break. So you're gonna have to go back to just drawing your eyebrows on, but your skin really need and deserve that break for you to get beautiful brows again in the future. What question do people DM you and ask the most that they could have taken an extra 5 seconds and just looked up on their own? That's a great one. I get DMs all the time about how much, where's the pricing, I'm on the website, I cannot find it. If you go under artists, the second or third sentence is keep scrolling to see the pricing for each artist. So by scrolling, you will see the pricing for each artist. I weirdly get a lot of DMs asking where I'm located, which I thought was really obvious. I'm in Los Angeles, but apparently not. But I am in Los Angeles, specifically in West Hollywood. Also, I have a lot of DMs of, hi, I would like to book an appointment. What's your soonest availability? I do not do appointments through DMs, phone calls, text, email. I open my booking once a month, the 13th of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific time on my website. The reason being is there is an insane demand and an extremely low amount of appointment. So I cannot have a wait list, because you would be waiting for most likely 5 years to get an appointment, and chances are in 5 years I might not be taking new clients anymore. So then I would have to tell you in 5 years that, sorry, I'll never be able to see you. So that's not fair. Which is why I opened a bigger studio with amazing artists that I've personally trained, and that they just keep growing and getting better so they can take over the overflow that I obviously cannot take. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys like it, and I hope it answers everything. If you have more questions, leave them in the comments, and I'm gonna make sure to answer them on the next video. Thank you.